Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Regarding everything that's going on.
So you want to speak? I could hook you up with with Hamac, and they'll put you to work. Is that what you're saying? Well, we could talk after. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you. Let me get my glasses. So you But hello.
I just saw the Anne Frank exhibit in New York. Oh, yeah, it was good. It was a lot. I thought a lot of stimulation. You had a little, cassette sort of. You held it.
Touch it and it beats it, and then you listen.
But then overhead they had language, and then it was a lot of stimuli. But it was good. I mean, I'm glad we went.
What do they do with this?
Oh, at the Jewish History Museum, some sort of village area.
John 16 and 15.
Yeah.
All the way downtown.
Yeah, so it's I guess it's part of the Jewish Museum, but it's downtown.
Oh, it's two separate things. Two separate things.
Oh, they are? I thought they were. Oh.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
aware of that.
Yeah, two
Okay,
separate things.
I made that up then. Sorry.
You did.
Ooh, how embarrassing.
It had the word Jewish in it.
Yeah, I always thought that, but yeah. So I'm glad we went.
That's great.
We had gone into the city. My daughter-in-law from Israel was in for a seminar that she gave in for a family event. So we saw her and Allie and Zach. So Zach took a room for business. They stayed over the night before. His appointment the next day was canceled. He said, "You take our room." And we had so much fun. We went to Koreatown, and then they ended up going. They had to go home, and then we went to Moulin Rouge, and then
It was a good trip.
yeah, it was exhausting. Which is why I never made it to the comedy night, because I'm like, I was too pooped.
New York has that effect on people.
Yeah.
A lot of
Oh my
travel.
God, we walked over 28,000 steps, which is, it's New York, so that's not such a big deal, but we walked all the way downtown to meet him at NYU, because he had an appointment there.
We were like this.
Yeah, and with Allie, of all people, so crazy, but yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Yeah, no, I'm glad that there's a decent crowd.
Yeah, me too. Good.
And we actually, I was babysitting for her when I saw her. She was with us for a show up in 2018. She's like, that's why it's 94 minutes. I don't think it's speaking for the presentation. 2018 seems like.
And we weren't here for that, so we'll enjoy this. Yeah. All right. Oh.
Yes, we do. Well, I tend to do it in the morning at breakfast. Right, so I can do it at rise from my house. That's my yeah, there were and then yes,
spring gala.
Yes.
At the Springfield Country Springdale. I still have my doll, my Tanta Rosa doll, and I keep it. Thank you, Phyllis. I was wondering. That clears that up.
Hello? I don't see anybody walking up, so I think we can get ready to start. The preponderance of emails and happenings and things that I sent to the group, you must know. Rhonda Fink-Whitman is here with us today. In 2018, she spoke at a Yom HaShoah service. She's a child of survivors. She's also a screenwriter, an author. In one of her early career moves, she was up in a traffic helicopter for KYW.
That didn't go well.
No, that didn't.
No, you guys remember Walt McDonald from first the Arco Go Patrol and then Shadow Traffic? So he kept inviting me to go up in the chopper, and I was like, I think I'm good. And he's like, come on. So I gave in, and I went in the helicopter, and he hands me a little brown lunch bag, right? And I'm like, what is this for? And he's like, just in case. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna need that. So we fly over Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and down below on like Route 30 or 73, there's an accident. And so the helicopter starts circling the accident. And I'm like holding on for dear life. And Walt says, look. And I'm looking, and the accident's going, wah, wah. And finally, I'm like, where's the bag? So needless to say, I never went up in the helicopter again. Yeah, I stayed grounded after that. Anyway,
Okay,
sorry.
so I am going to hand it over to Rhonda, who will talk about her family, her book, her career, and whatever else. Rhonda, it's all yours.
Thank you, Eileen. Hello, everybody. This is a nice crowd for a Wednesday afternoon. I thank you. I appreciate you guys all coming out today. Eileen, thank you for inviting me. Sharon is here. Where's Sharon? Is this Sharon? Is this the Sharon who I was copying everything on? Or do we have 100 Eileens? We might have a bunch of Sharons too. I'm not sure.
Sharon is the editor of Dovetail, our newsletter.
Oh, okay.
The person that was copied was
Yeah.
Eileen Shine, who...
Oh, yeah, I met Eileen. Okay. All right. So thank you, ladies. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to speak to the Janie Pearlstein Women's Jewish Studies Group at OHEV. I was here. I looked it up. It was in 2018, 7 years ago. Thank you, Mr. President, by the way, for having me. Rabbi Pearlstein had invited me, and it was for the Yom HaShoah program, which was super well attended and very, very meaningful. So it's great to be back. Thank you. I have some friends who are members here as well. 7 years ago, though, a lot has changed for Jews in America, actually around the world since then, right? I think Eileen said somebody may have heard me 7 years ago, so maybe I want to switch up my speech a little bit. Don't worry. First of all, if you remember my speech from 7 years ago, God bless you, because I don't remember it. But I mean, we're living in a completely different world, so the speech is certainly not the same. But Eileen wanted me to give you a brief introduction of who I am. I'm happy to do that. I'm Rhonda Fink-Whitman. I am the daughter and granddaughter of Holocaust survivors. They call us 2Gs. And I met another 2G, Alan. Where'd he go? Alan? Yes, Alan's right there, sorry. Any other 2Gs? Oh, what's your name? Bernice. Hi, Bernice. Nice to meet you. So you guys, you're aware they call us 2Gs, second generation, and then our children are 3Gs and so on. Yeah. Welcome. Thanks for coming. So I am an author, obviously. My books are in the back. or the front. I can't tell. This room is like amazing. I'm also a longtime Hebrew school teacher, Mora Rhonda. I've taught like at many locations around Bucks County, like Shirami, Temple Judea, Tifereth Israel, and now I still currently like sub and do special programs with the Jewish Hebrew School at Klein Life in Northeast Philly. It's a Russian Hebrew school, great place, great school. They do wonderful programs, and I have a deal with the kids. They teach me Russian, and I teach them Ivrit. So far, they're doing way better than I am. I can do a Das Vidanya, and that's about it. Russian is tough. It's a hard language. I'm also a longtime member of the Holocaust Awareness Museum and Education Center of Philadelphia. My background is broadcasting and media, as we discussed briefly, after graduating from Temple University with a degree in radio, television, and film. I worked for many years up and down the dial in Philly radio. You may remember me doing traffic reports for Shadow Traffic, and you may have even crossed the Walt Fink-Whitman Bridge. Anybody? Anybody remember that? Thank you, Eileen. Thank you. I was walking in Brigantine, and some guy yelled off his balcony, Walt Fink-Whitman Bridge. And a neighbor had told him who I was, because I was like, where did that come from? After radio, I worked in TV for a while at QVC, where I still pop up occasionally on air selling and demonstrating products that are sure to change your life. On the personal side, my husband, Mike, he's my CSO, my Chief Schlepping Officer. Unfortunately, he couldn't come schlep with me today. So Eileen were my schleppers today. Thank you for helping me. We've been married 40 years next May, and we're going to be visiting Israel for our 40th. So we're excited, yeah. We have 2 adult kids. Unfortunately, they live in other states. They're doing great. Sad for mommy, happy for them. And I have an adorable granddaughter who's just about to turn 1 on Thanksgiving. I know, she's so cute. And my mother, the Holocaust survivor, is still with us, Baruch Hashem. She's 87 years old. Unfortunately, she's not doing well. She's up here in Northeast Philly. And we are helping her out every day. So, but thank God she's still here. As a child, I always knew that my mom was a Holocaust survivor, but I did not know exactly what that meant. I guess that meant that she was different from the other moms, but she didn't seem different. She didn't have an accent, not like my grandparents. My grandparents had accents, but I thought, doesn't everybody's grandparents have accents? I mean, if you're a Jewish kid growing up in Northeast Philly, chances are your grandparents had accents, right? Just thought that was like a prerequisite to being a grandparent. One day in 5th grade during Hebrew school, I went to Hebrew school in Shaar Shamayim in Northeast Philly. The teacher said, we're going to teach you about the Holocaust. So back in those days, not like today. Today, everything's age appropriate. We're very careful about how we introduce the lessons of the Holocaust gradually, for younger kids and then as they get older. In those days, no, they just threw you in the fire. So there was no prep, there was no introduction. Our teacher just played the movie Night and Fog. Are you familiar? We watched it on an old projector, and I just sat there in horror watching the raw footage of the concentration camps taken by the Nazis and the liberating troops. And if you're not familiar, it's a documentary. It's black and white. It's piles of dead bodies. It's all the horrors. And after the movie ended, class was just dismissed. There was no discussion, no explanation, just practice your brachot, see you next Sunday, Needless to say, I was traumatized because I knew that my mom was there somewhere in that black and white footage, but I could not make any sense out of that. So I came home in tears and I asked my mom, I said, Mom, that happened to you? Like, I could not wrap my head around it. You can imagine, as a child. Around the year 2000, I was a young mother myself. taking my own kids to Hebrew school at Tifereth Israel in Ben Salem. That's where we still live, in Ben Salem. I decided it was time to tell my mom's story. But it was clear that she wasn't going to be the one to write it, so I took on the challenge myself. But the story was coming to me in scenes, like movie scenes, so I thought, well, I got to write a screenplay. But I had no idea how to even begin doing that. So, my background was journalism from Temple University, but screenplays, that's a whole nother animal. So I took classes, I went to seminars, and read all the how-to books that were recommended, and I learned the craft. And it took about 7 years for me, because I was also working part-time on radio and raising kids. There was always another load of laundry that needed to get done, priorities. But I eventually got the screenplay done. Took about 7 years. Also, there was a lot of research that had to be done because I wanted to make it right. Like, it had to be chronologically, historically, factually correct, because I am not making anything up about the Holocaust. You know what I mean? So finally, the book includes a trip to Europe that we took to help me do the research. So I went with my husband and my son, and that storyline about the trip to Europe, I threaded it through the book, and that came about because of a guy that you all know as Potsy. Do you guys know who Potsy is? Okay, so ask me when we do the Q&A, ask me about Potsy later. That's my fun fact, okay? Okay. Anyway, it's because of him that third storyline made it into the book. So when I decided the screenplay was ready, it was like 2018, right around the time that, 2008. And I entered it in some screenplay competitions in LA, and it did really well. It won a couple of prestigious awards. So I decided I was going to go pitch it around Hollywood. And everyone I spoke to loved the script, but they said this is a big budget period piece, like another Schindler's List. And in 2008, I don't know if you remember, the market tanked, and so nobody had the money to make that. So they said, why don't you go home and write the book? And I got some nasty comments too, like somebody asked me about, did you pitch Spielberg's company? And I said, yes, I did. And they said, oh, he already made his Holocaust movie. And then I pitched another big company, I don't remember who it was, but the comment from them was, no one wants to hear Nana's Holocaust story. So yeah, so I went home and wrote the book. It took me another 5 years, but in 2012, I finally published my book, 94 Maidens, which is 3 true stories woven together. There's a story about the young family playing a perilous game of cat and mouse with the Nazis right up until the final days of Hitler's Berlin. The story about a group of schoolgirls in Nazi-occupied Poland, ages 14 to 22, who are rounded up by the Nazis, given warm water and soap. They're told to bathe, and the Nazis will be back for them that night. Now, the reason the Nazis are coming back is not lost on the girls. The girls have a way out, but it's the ultimate way out, so they have to decide whether to take the ultimate way out or face the Nazi beast. And then the third thread is a story that follows me, my husband, and our son as we travel to Europe, gain access to sealed Nazi documents, true story. We use them as a blueprint, which takes us from Germany to Poland to the Czech Republic, and we find out what happened to my family members in those locations during the Holocaust. And the way it reads is, in one chapter, you'll be with us, say, at Auschwitz, finding out what happened to a family member there, and the next chapter flings you back in time, and now you're standing on those train tracks and you get to see it unfold for yourself. The book is a fast, easy read by design. People say it reads like a movie, right? Because that's how it started. And I am proud to report that it's done very well since it's been out. I know Phyllis brought her copy, so people here may have read it already. Thank you so much, Phyllis and everyone. It's recommended for use in curriculum by the Pennsylvania and New Jersey Departments of Education. So it's being read by students in middle and high schools across the country. I offer a free downloadable teacher's guide. There's a sample back there on my table. It's available at my website. It took me and 2 other educators a year and a half to write it. It meets all ELA standards. So if there are any teachers in the room and you want to check it out, after the program, I do have a sample of that back there. After the book was published, I partnered with the Holocaust Awareness Museum and Education Center of Philadelphia. And this partnership introduced me to state legislators who happily accepted my help in trying to get Holocaust education mandated in Pennsylvania. So when I was trying to figure out how can I help them they had a bill on the table, but it wasn't moving. It was growing dust. Where's my buddy Alan? Alan, my partner in crime, Alan Silverberg, back then and today, and I'll tell you about that. So back then I thought, how am I gonna, I can get, I talked to my local legislators and they were all on board, but how am I gonna reach these legislators in other parts of PA who don't know me from Adam and don't care because I can't vote for them anyway, I'm not a constituent, so they don't really care what some lady in a suburb of Philly, wants them to do if they're out in Pittsburgh or York or Chambersburg. So I created a video in 2013. It's called the Mandate Video. If you haven't seen it, has anybody in the room seen it? No? Okay. It's on YouTube, so you can go check it out. If you search 94 Maidens on YouTube or Google the Mandate Video, you'll find it. And what I did was I went to different universities in Pennsylvania. I started at Temple because I went to Temple, my husband went to Temple, my father went to Temple. My son was going to Temple at the time, so all my money was going to Temple University. So I started there. I went to Temple, Penn State, U of P, and Drexel. And I did man on the street interviews. Did you see it? You saw it. Now it rings a bell. And I asked kids what they knew or didn't know about the Holocaust, World War II, and genocide. And it's 15 minutes of either I don't know or wrong answers. And it was a jaw-dropping moment. And it was just supposed to be a love letter from me to our state legislators to say, hey, we got a problem in Pennsylvania. There were 5 states already mandated since '94. Anybody know what those 5 states were? Jersey, yes. New York, yes. California, yes. Nope. Connecticut now. Sorry, Maryland, no. Illinois, yes. One more. Florida. Did you say Florida? Florida, yes, Florida. So I was determined to make Pennsylvania number 6. So that video actually did what it was intended to do. It went viral. It's got about 500,000 views. I know that's nothing compared to what these kids are doing on TikTok today, but for me that was pretty good, right? For this old cocker. And then in 2014, they paid attention. The media picked it up. I was being interviewed on TV and blogs, and I remember I got picked up by a blog in France, and they were fuming that our kids didn't know about Normandy, and it's they're right, it was unbelievable. What spurred me to make that video was I have a bracelet that I had gotten in Cape May with a quote on it, and the quote is, "History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it." Can anybody guess who said that? History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it. Alan, zip it. I know you know the answer. Don't. Nope. Nope. Who? Yeah, who? Yes, who said that? My 2G friend, Churchill? I have a prize for you. It was Winston Churchill. For those of you watching the live stream, that was Bernice that won, and she won a bookmark. Okay, so what happened was I'm wearing this bracelet. It's back on my table. My table's also a little show and tell. I have some things back there to show people when you come back, besides my book. And you'll see the bracelet back there. I was wearing the bracelet. My daughter was home with a bunch of her friends. They had just graduated high school, Ben Salem Public High School. And yeah, okay, thank you. No, because you're going to see why I was like, boom, boom. But things have changed since then. They didn't know who Winston Churchill was. I know, it's embarrassing. They loved the bracelet, though. They thought it was really cool. But they didn't. So I was like, are you kidding me? Like, if they don't know that, like, what else don't they know? I mean, this is not millions of years ago. This is my mom's lifetime, you know? Anyway, then I was like, so because of my broadcast background, it was just a natural progression for me to pick up a camera and a microphone and head over to the universities and see what else don't they know. So anyway, in 2014, we passed our bill in Pennsylvania. Alan was there. However, unfortunately, it was a compromise bill. It trained teachers and built curriculum, but it just fell short of mandating Holocaust education 100%. It only encouraged it. It didn't fully mandate it, whereas other states have fully mandated it. Oh, by the way, back when I spoke here at OHEV in 2018, there were 9 mandated states. After we passed Pennsylvania, people reached out to me in other states and said, hey, you know that thing you did in PA, can you help us do it here? And I said, sure. And we went on to mandate Michigan and Connecticut and New Hampshire and Kentucky and Oregon and Texas. And last time I came here, we were at 9. Now we're at 23. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So currently in Pennsylvania, we're still working on it, right, Alan? We were in Harrisburg last year. We're trying to, it was called Act 70, what we passed 11 years ago. And we're trying to get that over the finish line like the other states have. The other states have full-blown mandates. Ours was like a, like a mezza, sort of here, sort of there, not really quite fully baked. So, Alan and I have been working with Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano. He has a bill, SB 127, which would finish what we started and fully mandate Holocaust education for our kids here in PA. When we passed Act 70, Alan, 11 years ago, we had around, you remember, like 30-some survivors and a few World War II liberators. You had a speaking group yourself, your Speakers Bureau from the Jewish war veterans. Our speakers, the speakers that I was associated with, came from the Holocaust Awareness Museum. 11 years ago, we had 30 plus. Guess how many we have today, 11 years later, who can actually go into a classroom and talk to the kids physically? 1. We have a couple who can do virtual, but to actually do the physical ride and schlep to the school and go in and talk to the kids, we have 1. Yeah, so we're concentrating on 2 Gs now, speaking for their parents. Alan, I'm going to get you involved in that. If you're interested, Bernice, let me know. Anyway, the point is that the clock has always been ticking, and 11 years is a long time to waste, right? So here we are, 2025. A few weeks ago, I voiced some artifact videos for the Holocaust Museum. Every few days, I call or email Pennsylvania State Majority Leader Joe Pittman, if anyone wants to help me in this endeavor. Squeaky wheel gets the oil. I'm nothing if not persistent. He is the majority leader in the Senate, and he needs to bring SB 127 up for a vote. It passed the Senate Ed Committee back in May, but it's been just gathering dust since then. And it's expected to pass the Senate without a problem. We're expecting more problems once it gets to the House, but he needs to bring it up. And he had every kind of excuse. He said to me, I'm not bringing any bills up until we pass a budget. Okay, that makes sense, right? So the minute they passed that budget, hello? Senator Pittman, it's me again. So if anybody wants to help me huck him a china, as my dad used to say, right? Remember that? Let me know. I'll give you his contact info. But our hearts are heavy, right? Are they not? In a post-October 7th reality, the world has clearly changed. I kind of feel like this is the scariest time to be a Jew since the Holocaust. I don't know. Do you guys feel the same way? Right? Yeah? I just want to make sure I'm not like overreacting, but It's frightening. It's frightening. So about a week ago, we marked the 87th anniversary of Kristallnacht, Night of Broken Glass. And it's always easy for me to keep track of Kristallnacht because my mother was born in Berlin 1 month before Kristallnacht in 1938. So she's 87 years since Kristallnacht. On Kristallnacht, Nazis burned more than 1,400 synagogues, smashed and looted thousands of Jewish-owned stores, broke into Jewish people's apartments and homes, desecrated Jewish religious objects, rounded up and arrested 26,000 Jewish men. Many died. Kristallnacht marked the beginning of the end of European Jewry, but the Nazis were just getting started, right? So my mom was born right at Kristallnacht, 1 month before. My granddaughter was born, remember I said she's going to be turning a year on Thanksgiving, so she was born 1 year after October 7th. So from my mom's birth in 1938 until a year before her great-granddaughter was born, what happened to us Jews? We survived a Holocaust. We built a homeland, Eretz Yisrael. We built new lives in the diaspora. Hello, all of us. And then what happened? But in between, between Kristallnacht and October 7th, we did all those things, and then bingo, Bernice. That is the word I wrote down, comfortable. We got comfortable. Maybe we got too comfortable, some would say, right? October 7th was the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust. On October 8th, before Israel had even responded to the barbaric massacre that had happened, the world experienced a global rise in anti-Semitism that is unmatched in modern times. I never thought I'd see it. I thought humanity had learned its lesson after the Holocaust. After all, George Santayana warned us, if we don't know our history, we are bound to repeat it. It is the first quote in my book, and it is literally inscribed on a wall as you enter Auschwitz, what is now the Auschwitz Museum. It's what's left of Auschwitz. I don't know, has anybody been there? Yeah, so I don't know if you saw the inscription, but if we don't know our history, we're bound to repeat it. It's literally on the gates of hell. And yet, here we see it happening before our very eyes. Last year in the United States, the ADL reported 9,354 anti-Semitic incidents across the nation. That is a 5% increase since 2023, a 344% increase over the past 5 years, and a whopping 893% increase over the past decade. So let me round it up. Last year, almost 10,000 incidents of anti-Semitism in America, and that's up almost 1,000% since 10 years ago. It's hard to believe. Jews around the world are being harassed, bullied, stabbed, shot, murdered, prohibited from entering certain establishments, thrown off flights. Synagogues have been rammed, burned, and our security, our politicians, our law enforcement either can't or won't do enough to stop it. Does this sound familiar? Our universities, our college campuses are unsafe for Jewish students. Jewish professors were fired for speaking out. Jewish students, if they weren't hiding in libraries for their lives, they were certainly tucking in their Magen Davids under their shirts as they tried to get past these pro-Hamas encampments on their way to classes they paid good money for. On October 8th, the world should have condemned Hamas for being the brutal, barbaric murderers that they are, but instead the world turned on us. They turned on the Jews, as they have always done in the past, and we became the villains, and the perpetrators became the victims. It's literally absurd. If I had pitched that screenplay in Hollywood, producers would have said, nah, it's too far-fetched. No one's ever going to believe that, right? It's crazy. And yet this is our reality. And with our media, mainstream media, twisting narratives and speaking in code so as not to offend the terrorists, this has been going on for years. They don't call them terrorists, they call them militants. Like there's a code. They don't want to offend anybody, right? And we have these anti-Semitic voices on the far left and the far right, from politicians and celebrities to podcasters and social media influencers, only encouraging this anti-Semitic insanity. For me, it's never felt this unsafe to be a Jew in America or anywhere, for that matter. That's how I feel, personally. And we're only 2% of the population. We sure do get blamed for a lot of stuff, don't we? Right? Toilets not flushing, Eileen? Must be a Jewish person's fault. As the daughter and the granddaughter of survivors, I feel like I need to sound the alarm. For many years, I would take Holocaust survivors to speak at schools and other organizations, and on the way to the event, I'd always say, I'd ask them, do you think another Holocaust could ever happen? And what do you think the answer was? Unanimously, from every single Holocaust survivor, yes. Yes. And I was, what? Back then, you know? My head spun around. I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't see it then, but I see it now. As a former shadow traffic reporter, I'm going to say I see it coming down the Pennsylvania Turnpike, unfortunately. And can we talk about New York for a minute? Do we have any New Yorkers in here? Hello. She said I wouldn't tell anybody. That's funny. I'm scared to death that it's going to be another ground zero, especially for us Jews. I mean, New Yorkers just elected a new mayor. He's a 34-year-old socialist, communist, former failed rapper who no experience whatsoever. He won't say that Hamas should disarm. He won't disavow the language, globalize the Intifada. He praised the Holy Land Five. Those are 5 men convicted in Dallas of funneling $12.4 million to Hamas. Did anybody see the memo from his first meeting after the election, what he's prioritizing for when he gets into office? It was leaked. And remember, he promised all those free buses, affordable housing, free childcare, free this, free that. None of that is on the agenda. Did you see it, Craig? It reads like an entire agenda just targeted at New York City's Jews. I'll give you a couple of the highlights real quick. Divest city pension funds from Israeli bonds and securities, withdraw city funds from banks that lend money to Israel or do business in Israel, end city contracts with companies that do business with Israel, operate city-run grocery stores free from Israeli products. He said free, right? I mean, no hummus for you. Investigate real estate agents hosting illegal sales of stolen lands in the West Bank. Evict weapons manufacturers from the New York City metro area, remove nonprofit status from charities that raise funds for the IDF, dismantle Eric Adams' New York City Israel Economic Council, and New York PD training with IDF, which he calls the IOF. He calls them the Israel Occupation Force, not the Israel Defense Force. End repression of demonstrators and the SRG. The SRG is the unit of the New York City Police Department that was formed in 2015 for counterterrorism and policing protests and or riots. He wants them gone. Arrest Bibi Netanyahu and any active IDF soldiers for war crimes. Yep. Yep. There's a city. Yeah. I have a girlfriend who lives in Great Neck, and she's not too worried because she's like, he can't do any of that stuff. He has to get it passed. And that's the problem, is he wants it. And I mean, eventually, if he wants to get it done, I heard I just read yesterday his recommendation for, I think, to fill his assembly seat is a radical Islamic woman who just came to America last year. She's not even American. Like, what are we doing, right? We need Americans to run America. She just got here last year. Anyway, free. What's going to be free?
When does he institute Sharia law?
That's the question. I don't know if you saw what happened in Dearborn, Michigan, but a Christian got up at a city council meeting and said, because they wanted to name a street after a terrorist, And he objected. And the mayor said to him, "You need to move, and when you move, I'll do a happy dance," something like that. So, about 2 years ago, a family moved into my neighborhood in Bensalem, where my husband and I have been living for 38 years, where we raised our children and marked so many wonderful life cycle events and family milestones. And everything was cool. And then after October 7th, this new family put a sign on their lawn. It was a very large sign full of anti-Semitic, anti-American, anti-Israel propaganda. And I had to look at this sign every time I walked in and out of my door. I was like, why didn't he just splash a big red swastika on the side of his house? It would have felt the same to me, you know? My local police said, nothing you can do. It's on his private property, freedom of speech and all that. So my husband and I sat down. We were forced to have that very uncomfortable conversation that we never imagined we'd have. The one that my grandparents had 87 years ago in Berlin, holding my newborn mother after Kristallnacht. You know, that question is it time to move? And where do we go? Thank you. Where do we go? So I have to tell you about this comedy video that I just saw online. Very cute. It's a spoof. I think it came out of Israel. They have like an Israeli version of SNL. I think that's where it came from. So an Israeli man runs into an American woman at the airport. They're old friends. He's leaving Israel and moving to America. She's leaving America, New York, and making Aliyah to Israel. And they bump into each other, and they're like, "You too? Yeah, you too." And he says, "Yeah, unfortunately, it's time to leave there." And she goes, "There? No, it's time to leave there," right? And he points behind him, she points behind her. Each one thinks the other one is crazy. He says, "You're making Aliyah now? What are you, Meshuggah? Like, Jews are dying in Israel every day." And she says, "Well, what are you, insane? You're going to move to New York now? It's a nightmare. Have you seen what's happening?" And as they part, they have to catch their flights under their breath. They each walk away and go, "Moron," you know, call each other moron. But it really does beg the question, like, when it comes time to leave, will we recognize it in time, and where will we go? A lot of French Jews have already left France. UK Jews are starting to leave in large numbers. It's very scary. Where are they going? They're going to Israel.
Because nobody else wants us.
Right. I know that Jews have been forced to flee all throughout history. I just never thought I'd be one of them. Did you? Right? So if I can ask, and if you're shy, you don't have to, but I'm just wondering, raise your hand if, like me, you have given this a little bit of thought, or not yet. Anybody have the discussion with your partner, like, is it time? Where would we go? So as a people, we're really divided right now, and that's exactly what our enemies want. There are Jews on the left, Jews on the right, Jews right down the middle, Jews who voted for Mandami. It's baffling, but it's true. A third of New York City's Jews voted for him. But at the end of the day, you're a Jew, I'm a Jew, and just like the Nazis, those who seek to destroy us today make zero distinction. In 1930s in Germany, Jews were blamed for everything from losing World War I, even though many Jews fought for the fatherland, to a poor economy. Today in 2025, Jews all over the world are blamed for much of the same. We're called white supremacists, we're called colonizers, occupiers, they even call us Nazis. How ironic, right? Right. Moronic, exactly. You know, when they started calling us white supremacists, I had to laugh, because before, when it was cool to be white, we were not white. We were Semitic, right? Jews were not considered white. But then when it became not cool to be white, we were white. We became white supremacists. So Jews can't win. Can't win. In the moment, correct. Correct. So it doesn't seem to matter that Jews today come in every color, and we are indigenous to the land of Israel dating back thousands of years. Our forefathers and mothers spoke Hebrew, inhabited the Holy Land before Christianity or Islam were even ever a thought. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is built on top of our temple. Duh. They know how to spin that too. Dig anywhere in Israel, including Judea and Samaria, and you'll find Jewish artifacts, no other kind. But facts don't matter to modern day anti-Semites, just like they didn't matter to the Nazis. History is indeed repeating itself in real time right before our eyes. Daughters of the Holocaust is my first graphic novel. I published it in 2022, a full year before October 7th. And I had been working on it, writing it and illustrating it for 2 years prior to that. So why do I tell you that? Because in it you'll find unlikely heroines, aka real housewives, but real life daughters of Holocaust survivors, including me, the one in the middle in the red. That's me on a good day after I leave the gym, right? And the one in the white, that's Siggy Flicker. Anybody know Siggy from Real Housewives of New Jersey? So Siggy's dad, Mordechai, survived Nazi-occupied France and later became a docent at Yad Vashem. And you can see the shadow of the parents hiding behind the girl's legs, because what happened to our Holocaust surviving parents is what lights the fire under us to take on the cause of battling anti-Semitism. And then the other lady is Bonnie Glogover, who's from New York. Her dad, Stanley, survived Auschwitz and medical experiments without anesthesia. Stanley, may he rest in peace, went on to invent the maternity bra, because Jews are resilient and Jews are awesome. So follow the daughters as we take on Holocaust denial and anti-Semitism in all its forms, from the halls of Congress to the local classroom and beyond. And getting back to the original thing I was telling you, why I told you that I wrote it before October 7th and published it before October 7th, in the book, we are kicking down these bogus apartheid walls on campus and beating up anti-Semitic professors. And this was years before the encampments at Columbia and our Ivy League universities. So how did I write all that before October 7th? Am I a clairvoyant? Do I have a crystal ball? No. I was just paying attention. It's been going on for a long time. It wasn't splashed all over the news back then, but it was happening. And as I said, I saw it coming down the turnpike. Maybe as the daughter of a Holocaust survivor, I just knew what to look for. I think Ellen and Bernice, you guys probably are keyed into certain things too, right? So I also wrote Mrs. Graceland. She is an Elvis-infused, fun romantic comedy about love and second chances. I published it in 2019. That one also started out as a screenplay, got a nibble from the Lifetime channel, but that fizzled out, as Hollywood things often do. And then 94 Maidens was doing pretty well, so I decided it's just sitting on the shelf collecting dust. I'll adapt that into a book too. So I did. It's a fun, easy beach read, I like to say. It's fluff. So this will make you cry and this will make you laugh. So if you're interested in a good laugh. And all my books in the back, I will be, or the front. I love this room. I will be selling and signing books after the program. You can come up and meet me. I also have a scroll that is also a Holocaust survivor. It is a Torah scroll. I spoke at another synagogue and a rabbi gave it to me as a gift. And it's a desecrated piece of a Torah scroll that was saved from, I think it was Czechoslovakia back then. You know, they used to take all the Jewish ritual objects and put them in the square and burn them. This piece was rescued, and you'll see the charred edges. And the Parsha talks about making your community a better place. And so the rabbi gave it to me because he said, by passing these Holocaust education mandates, you're helping to make the community a better place. So does anybody, for a prize, does anybody know what you're supposed to do with a desecrated Torah scroll? Oh. Who was the winner? Too many. All right, see me after class. I'll give everybody a... But you guys, this is a smart crowd you got here. Yes, bury it. But he didn't want to bury it. He wanted me to have it. And some people say, you should put it behind glass, but I don't, because it is a living piece of history. And when I go around to schools, because I go to schools and I meet the kids and I talk to the kids about Holocaust education, a lot of them read my book. Then the teacher has me come in and answer their questions. One teacher in Bucks County, Holly Kong Middle School, she would have the kids, first she would show my video of me asking the college kids these questions about the Holocaust, and they didn't know. Then she'd teach them the lesson on the Holocaust. She'd use my book and the teacher's guide, and then she'd show the video again. These are 7th graders. And the kids would watch the video and they would shout out the correct answers. And they felt empowered because they're like, I'm smarter than a college kid, you know? So, yeah. So, they're also available on Amazon. If anybody doesn't want to pick it up today, you can pick it up on Amazon. And I have to do my little pitch that if you do read it and you do like it, please give me a 5-star review on Amazon, because an author can never have too many of those. Thank you. I'm going to close my little spiel. We'll do a Q&A, but I'm going to close with a quote from my mom, the Holocaust survivor. She always says, if God could only put love in their hearts instead of hate, the world would be a much better place. Can't argue with that. Thank you for having me. I'm Yisrael Chai. God bless America. Thank you. If anybody has any questions?
I'm asking you to go up to this microphone so people on the live stream.
Yes.
It's not far.
Does this one work? I can bring it, we can pass it around? Okay, all right.
First of all, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Was there an uptick of overt Semitism after the August 2017 Charlottesville, I don't know what you would call it?
Yeah, Yeah, I remember that. Not one that I noticed. Did anybody else notice? If it was imperceptible. I don't think, back then they were like skinheads. And, it wasn't like everybody. Now it seems like it's everybody.
It was the Proud Boys and some of the other ones, and that poor young lady.
Yeah, the neo-Nazis, yeah.
And the poor young woman who got killed was never acknowledged.
Yeah.
Except by those around who saw it, and one, I can't remember her name, but I remember she was killed by a car and totally ignored. And I thought that I saw an uptick of overt anti-Semitism after that.
It's possible. Listen, it's been happening for a long time. When my video first came out in 2013. Remember I said it got a lot of visibility. It was picked up by different TV stations and different blogs and different radio. I was interviewed on ABC in New York and Boston, and Newsweek magazine came to me to do an article on it. So I was like, woohoo, I'm in Newsweek. This is amazing. Well, little did I know that neo-Nazis read Newsweek. Who would have thunk it? But this one neo-Nazi who's like, I'm not even going to give him the satisfaction of mentioning his name, but he's like second in command. He read the article and he shouted out to his minions and said, this woman is part of the Jewish problem. And he sent his minions after me. So what happened was, one day I woke up, and I just do book things on Twitter. I'm barely on Twitter. Well, now it's X. Back then it was Twitter. But, I would just do like little book, whatever. Had to promote my book on Twitter. Hardly on it at all. One morning I woke up, looked at my phone, and I had like hundreds of Twitter messages. If I got one message in a week, that was a lot. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? Like my Twitter must have been hacked. And I go online to see what's going on, and it is these minions calling for my death threats, putting my face on lampshades, right? Telling me that I need to stop shoving what they call the hula hoax down their white children's throats. Yep. So, and that was 2013. So that was like during the Obama years, you know. So this anti-Semitism has been going on for a long time. We mostly have seen it on the extreme right till October 7th, where it just kind of like burst into flames from every direction. And Jews now feel like we're kind of getting squeezed out the middle. It's like, it's very frightening. Any other questions? Yes?
I started teaching Holocaust studies. Sherry.
Oh, Sherry. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming out today.
I started teaching Holocaust studies in 1975 at University City High School. There was no material. This was long before they even started anything. Right. And I have to tell you that I still run into, and I've taught it every year since then. It got, I don't know if easier is the word, but you know, you were able to get more material, you were able to get Holocaust survivors to come.
Right.
I've run into students that have told me that that's what they remember from my class.
Amazing, yeah.
From University City. I mean, this was, you know, and also there was a Holocaust contest that our kids would enter in, where they would either write essays. One little girl, she did a box that had all of the things that if they told her that they were, you know, how to get out, what they would have in. But it was very difficult to do. Amazing. Because literally the only movie we had was Night and Fog. Yeah, right? Horror. Well, you guys, Philadelphia School District really pioneered that. Do you remember Dr. Leon Bass? Very much.
Okay, so he was one of the pioneers. You know, he was a black
he came
liberator. Who liberated one of the camps. I had the honor and privilege of meeting him once at a Holocaust program. What an amazing person! But yeah, that was like, you guys were pioneering the Holocaust education back then.
He came to my class. He
nice.
was great.
Yeah, see, that's unforgettable.
But it's just, I can't believe that it's not mandated now.
Right. So what happened in Pennsylvania, Alan, you remember, they only encouraged it, they did not require it, and they said, we're going to do a study 2 years from now and see, and if 90% of the schools are teaching Holocaust using the curriculum provided, then we'll call it a day and we'll say we're done. If less than 90% are doing it, we'll make it a full-blown mandate. So 2 years later, they did a survey and they came back with like 92 or 93%. And they said, we'll work on the other 7%. They were like in, you know, Amish country and rural places of Pennsylvania. But, you know, that was 11 years ago, and a lot has fallen through the cracks since then. But other states that I've worked on have been very serious about it, and even honed it. Like, every state does it differently. Texas mandated a week of Holocaust education to coincide with International Holocaust Remembrance Day in January. And they found after a year that that was also falling through the cracks. Teachers didn't really understand that they were supposed to teach about the Holocaust during that week. And so they went back and revised their bill to make sure it's getting done. So, yeah, other states have been really serious about it. Our state, what can I tell you? We're trying. We're still trying. Yeah.
You know, might have known back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of areas in Pennsylvania, and the climate today in the legislature.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
Well, you know, I don't like to get political because we need legislators from both sides of the aisle to pass these bills. It was partisan 11 years ago. We still got the bill passed because we were able to reach across the aisle. Flash forward 11 years later, It's more partisan than ever, as you can imagine, but the script has been flipped. It's the other side. The side that wanted it 11 years ago is the side that will not publicly support it today. Sometimes on the phone behind the scenes, they'll say, listen, when it comes up for a vote, I'll vote for it, but I cannot publicly. Can you co-sponsor the bill? Nope, no can do. It's bizarre, isn't it? Unbelievable. Because to me, this is not a political issue. It's not even solely a Jewish issue. To me, this is a human issue, the Holocaust, and nobody wants to see another Holocaust, and we need to know what it was and how it started and how it happened so we can prevent another one from ever, God forbid, happening. And the best way to do that is to reach our youth, and you could see, our youth on college campuses, a lot of them seem pretty ignorant of the facts, lost, I don't know, unmotivated. I'm not sure what has happened in America, but that's what I see anyway. You might see it differently, but that's just what I see. Alan?
Make a comment. I'm not from New York, but recently the mayor of New York, he was pro-BDS. Okay, and I was shocked to hear that coming from a place like that. Speaking of also college students, in one video I saw, this one college student was asked about the Holocaust, and they said, "Isn't it a holiday?"
A holiday?
Yes.
What, that was in New York?
It was one of the, I'm not sure where it took place, but they quoted this, they filmed this person, a female, saying it's a holiday.
Wow.
I think it was wrong. They didn't mean, it was not a,
they
meant like a joyous type thing.
Yeah. And New York was one of the original 5 that was mandated for Holocaust education back in 1994. So, you got to wonder, what happened? Are they not teaching it? Or are they, sometimes if it's just an elective and kids don't take the elective, they miss out on it.
And something else too, that we were in the bus coming back from Harrisburg. This was prior to the bill Act 70 being signed into law. And I remember they were giving the tallies on the bus, how the bill was coming. And I was told that, sadly to say, there's a Jewish Educators Association, and they're the ones against it. What? They were against.
That's a problem.
Going against the bill.
Yeah. We had that problem, if you remember.
Yes.
We had that problem 11 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. On the bus coming back.
Yeah.
It's
true. The Jewish establishment did not want the bill passed.
The Jewish teachers establishment.
You will have to ask them. I cannot. We said, they had all kinds of reasons. First they said, no, nobody wants to pass an unfunded mandate. And then they found funding for it. And then they said, oh, well, no, the Senate will never pass it. And the Senate passed it. And they said, well, if the House will never pass it. And then the House passed it. And then they said, well, the governor will never sign it. And I met the governor, at the time was Governor Corbett. And he used to be a history teacher. And he said to me, face to face, he said, get that bill on my desk. I can't wait to sign it. So it was just a bunch of nonsense. And, but sure enough, once the bill got passed, they took all the credit for it.
And one excuse is they said they were against it because they said they didn't have time to devote to that.
Who? The establishment?
Teachers.
Oh, teachers, yeah, teachers union was against it. Yeah. I mean, they got a full inbox. They don't need another job to do, I guess. I don't know. Teachers, but yeah, but the Department of Education was all for it, but the teachers unions, they fought us.
Especially Jewish teachers union.
Jewish, yeah. Well, look what we have now. These Jews for Palestine marching against Israel and SJP or whatever, like all these, Yeah, it's, I
We were all there.
don't know how to explain that.
Right, we were all there in Philadelphia when Corbyn actually signed the bill.
Yes, yes.
Federation Building.
Yep, we were
I
there.
got a picture of you there.
I got a picture of you there. That was great, yeah. So when Corbett finally signed the bill, it was supposed to happen in Harrisburg, but the Jewish Federation of Philly, they hijacked it. They had it at their office in Philly, which was actually easier for me and Alan. We didn't have to drive to Harrisburg, so it was all good, right, Al? Any other questions? Yes, in the back. Another Alan?
Get up.
Just a little bit of a footnote to some of this. When you see all of these demonstrations for Palestine, realize the source. It goes way back to a man named Edward Said, who got a PhD, taught in New York, and he systematically brought over other Palestinians who were adamant, like al-Farouqi in Temple, some of you may remember him. And this was a planned work. One of the things they did, for instance, was one of the professors said, you have to go to the Palestinian meeting, a protest, and you have to come up to me and chime in, otherwise you fail the class. So, and then they spread their students. So this was a planned operation, and we should be aware that it's just how it went.
Well, we knew, as soon as we saw all the tents were matching tents, and this was like October 8th, 9th, 10th, it was like, okay. They knew this was coming. They had this plan. They're being funded. And some of them we know are paid protesters. Like they'll be out protesting for 2 hours and then they leave because that's all they're getting paid for. So, and you ask them, you've seen the videos where you ask them questions and they can't tell you what river, what sea. They have no clue. They're just out there making noise.
But
yeah.
it was a planned.
For sure.
Don't think it was a spontaneous uprising of kids. And
No.
this was all planned and worked out long before October 7th came.
Right.
Just waiting for the day, waiting for the opportunity. And that's what we have to deal with.
And makes you wonder, what else do they have planned?
Plenty.
Right?
Yeah.
What else is coming down the Pennsylvania Turnpike?
What is happening this year? Like contemporary, what would be? We spoke to a rabbi from Chicago who has two.
Eileen's going to beat you up if you don't talk in the microphone. Because if you're not, because it's live streamed and then Jan can't hear you.
Okay, so we spoke to a rabbi, an extended family member in New York this weekend who's from Chicago. She has a school. Her husband is a dean at University of Chicago, and she has a son at Vanderbilt and a daughter going into school. And she looked at me when I asked, so what's going on campuses? How do you feel as a parent of a college-age child, Jewish child-age, college-age child? And she looked at me like, what are you talking about?
No way.
Yes. For me to get up here and say this, yes. We were totally shocked.
How did she miss it? Was she sleeping?
She doesn't feel it's happening.
She doesn't feel it's happening?
No, I mean, I was speechless. Yeah, it's my daughter-in-law's sister. And my daughter-in-law lives in Israel. She was here to do some work, but yeah. So I didn't go further with the conversation, because I had asked the question, and that was her perception.
Huh.
What school are you talking about? Her one son is a sophomore at Vanderbilt, and her daughter's looking at St. Louis University.
So some schools obviously were worse than others. I mean, like down in Florida, the governor just was like, not happening down here. So if the kids who went to college in Florida didn't see much, it depended on the university. Like Columbia was bad, and Berkeley, and yeah. So,
That's what I'm asking. Is it happening today? Am I missing this? Or colleges are more quiet and settled? She felt it was very much a staged protest which is what you were just referring to too. It was set up so she didn't feel that was the general consensus of activity going on there. Yeah.
I mean, we all saw it on the news, right? And I looked at my husband, I said, thank God our kids are grown and out of college and we don't have to worry about it. But I mean, I guess there were colleges where the kids did not have any problems.
She doesn't feel, I guess I asked, how do you feel now?
Yeah.
With,
But I mean, I follow this kid on Instagram, Eli, who you must have all seen the footage. He was totally bullied. He wore his Jewish star proud, and he couldn't get to class at UCLA because they made these walls.
Is that this year? Is that what's happening this year, or have things
This
settled
year's
down?
quieter. No.
Well, that was her. That's what she's saying.
Oh,
She
this
didn't
year,
say that
yeah.
didn't happen.
Oh, well, do you
I
know
asked,
who?
how do you feel about having children in college now, and
Yeah.
and one applying to college?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. So things have simmered down. Did you see all the Congress hearings with Elise Stefanik, where she called the college CEOs in and she called them on the carpet, and then Trump came in and he started taking away their federal funding, and money talks.
So she feels that things have quieted down.
I think they have. Yeah.
Okay.
This year, I think they have. Yeah, I thought you meant she was saying that none of that was a problem.
No,
Never
I
happened.
asked, as a parent experiencing this now, what's going on?
It seems like things have quieted down. I have to tell you, it was before October 7th. It was a couple years ago. I was invited to speak at Columbia University. They had a UN day. The students have like a mock UN at Columbia, and they had a day against genocide. And they asked me to speak as a authority on Holocaust studies. And there were two other women who were speaking before me about the Holocaust, but they had people, like they had a woman there speaking about her experiences during the Rwanda genocide, and other people, somebody from Sudan. So they had all these genocide speakers. And then this one woman, professor at Columbia, got up and talked about the genocide in Palestine. And I was there virtually. They were all there in person. I couldn't make it to New York that day, so I was there virtually. So I'm just watching, but I'm not on yet, so I can't talk. And nobody's challenging her. And the next two speakers were Holocaust, and they never challenged her. They didn't bring anything up. So when it came time for me to speak, they saved the best for last. Because, thank you for your comments, I was actually up on this giant screen, and I think it was like Wizard of Oz, right? I was just like this big talking head, and I couldn't hear them, but they could hear me. So I took my Holocaust information, my Holocaust education speech, put it aside, and I started talking about how there's no genocide in Palestine. How there were X amount of Palestinians in 1948, and how there's 2 million now, and in a genocide the numbers go down, they don't go up, and that there's no apartheid, that Muslims, Arabs in Israel, they are in the Knesset, they can vote, they're police officers, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're teachers, there's no apartheid going on. Anyway, so I just was trying to give the students, the facts, the real facts. And I didn't know it. I found out later because one of the women called me and told me what was happening while I was speaking, but I couldn't hear them, so I had no clue. This professor, she was trying to shout me down. The whole time I was up here talking, she was saying, "It's not true, don't listen to her, blah, 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 blah." She's like screaming and yelling. And I didn't know, so I just like Wizard of Oz kept talking, right? And when it was all over, the students who organized it called me and thanked me because they said they were happy to hear another point of view. I said, another point of view? Like, there's really just the truth. But these kids at Columbia University, we're not getting it. And this has been going on for years. This was before October 7th, at least a year or two before October 7th. Yes.
I wish I had noted the source, but every year on my computer, and I send it to my granddaughter who's looking for colleges, it's a whole list of things, questions that students that are looking to go to university should investigate, specific questions to ask about the Jewish environment on campus.
Sure.
And things to check out the professors and I wish I could remember the name of the source, but it comes out I don't know if it's from My Jewish Learning or some source like that.
Right.
And every year I forward it to my granddaughter because she's going to be going to college in 2 years.
Yeah. Any college with a Hillel, that's a good start right there.
Right.
You know, I remember when my son went to Temple, and this was years ago, I said, join the Hillel. And he's like, Mom, I'm not interested, not going to happen. Next thing I know, he's baking challah, and I said, what happened? And we went down for like parent visitation, and the rabbi said, all we had to do is offer them free food, and they show up, you know? So yeah. My dad used to have a saying when we were kids, and after school, the other kids used to like get to go out and play and do whatever they wanted, but not me and my siblings. We had to get in the car and go to Hebrew school 3 days a week. And he used to say, we would complain, oh, I don't want to go. And he always used to say, it's tough to be a Jew in America. Like he was like joking, but he wasn't wrong. Nowadays, it's tough to be a Jew anywhere. Any other questions?
Alan?
Microphone, or Eileen's going to take you down, Alan. Little pint-sized Eileen. I'm scared of her.
You all know me as Alan Golombek. And I have to tell you that my last name, Golombek, is a Polish name. But the difference is L's are not pronounced as L's. They're pronounced as W's. So my real last name is Golombek, and you all have Google. And you can look up the name, and it means dove, or little bird. Well, I had the opportunity growing up almost my entire life of not being recognized as a Jew, unless I told them. And this has lasted to this day. I have a million things going through my head. You and I have a lot of commonality. We both went to Temple. We both are children of Holocaust survivors.
Right.
And I can remember going back to my early days when I came over to this country by boat. I made the Atlantic crossing on a ship with my mother and my sister at the time.
Wow.
And I used to tell people today, I said, at least I got here and Leonardo DiCaprio didn't. But it gave me the opportunity back then to become an educator, even on a most minimal basis, of what a Jew was. Because I heard it all. I heard it at Central High School. I heard it at Woodrow Wilson Junior High School. And I had the opportunity, and I'm not proud of this, but due to my academic excellence at Temple, and Ira knows all about this, due to my academic excellence at Temple, I got a letter that said, Dear Alan, they didn't even use my last name, Dear Alan, due to your academic, educational excellence, we think you take a sabbatical. That was in 1967. And you all remember what was going on in 67. So I had the opportunity, which was forced on me, to go to the deep, deep South. I mean, you couldn't go any further in the South. Again, I was given the opportunity because nobody recognized my last name as a Berg or Ski, and Polish skis, the Catholics had an I, the Jews had Ys. I also was a founder, by the way, of TI.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've been aware of this my whole life, but it's really accelerated. And as far as back as I can remember, as a 16, 17-year-old, I used to say, Americans are the most arrogant, ignorant people in the world. And nobody argued with me, and to our commonality, I had a subscription to Newsweek. And one of their editions that came out a long time ago was entitled The Dumbing Down of America. And I find this all the time. Also, in relationship to Israel, well, you all know about the book Startup Nation. I guess you all heard of it, read it. When they were when they were talking about Israel and Gaza, I'm a writer. I write articles. They're very cathartic. A number of them have been published, which I'm very proud of. But one of them was entitled Israel versus Gaza, and I outlined the differences. I also took offense to the term genocide, because people didn't understand what genocide was and is. So I wrote an article about genocide, and I researched it, which was one of the things I was taught at Central, is to research everything that I hear or been taught. And I wrote an article called Genocide and listed every place that we as a country and other countries have been up to today where a true genocide is taking place. And I have put in the number of people, the innocents, that were killed during those periods. But my article started with every civilian life is valuable. So the only thing I can tell you is that with me traveling, and then I had the opportunity through my work in the medical field, I traveled all over the country. I cannot tell you how many times I entered into a conversation correcting people on what a Jew is, or correcting conversations that had mashed everything together and had no idea. One especially was at a doctor's office, two of the secretaries were discussing two Jewish religions and they had them mixed up like this. They had no idea. So I said to them, I'm Jewish. They said, you are? I said, yes, I am. Do you mind if I sort of help you guys out? And they said, that would be terrific. I ran across, when I was in the Army down at Fort Polk, which is the most racist part of the country, I was sitting around our barracks one night before we were being let go to go home for Christmas, and one of the boys that came out of the hills, just learned how to put shoes on, made a statement and said, I hope there's no coons or kikes here. Well, you could look around very quickly to see if there were any blacks. But when I told him that I was Jewish, he leapt out of his chair and he looked at me, he said, you're a Jewish? And I said, yes, I am. These are all true stories. And he said to me, where are your horns and tail? So my response to him very quickly was, well, I shaved my horns down so I could get the helmet on, and I'll try to clean this up a bit. But I put my tail somewhere where you couldn't see it so it wouldn't frighten you. The other thing that amazes me to this day is how many Jews I've talked to do not even know about the term. Why were we told that we should have horns and tails? Where did that come from?
The statue of Moses.
Pardon me?
The statue of Moses.
Yeah. But to this day, there are people that don't know. But thank God for Google, because I can bring it up on my phone and put it up. And as far as the tail, we were also known as the children of Satan. So we must have tails. So I got into a discussion with a Mormon when I was at Fort Sam Houston, Texas. And I went to Shabbat services while I was in service. And these two young men were coming back, and one of them said, sorry, God, those goddamn Jews stole our Sabbath. So I grabbed one of them. I'm not a violent person, but I threw him up against a Coke machine. And I said, last time I checked, my calendar starts with 57, whatever the year is, or was. I said, yours says 1968. So which one of us came first?
Right.
So all I can say to you is thank God that you're here.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
You
God
too.
for the message.
Thank you.
And all I can tell you is all the Jews think that, and Jews still don't, I've been told I overreact. And they ask me, how could this all happen? So I go back in history and I explain to them. I also got in an argument with my father when I was 16. We were talking about World War II, and I said to my father, Hitler was an absolutely evil man. I said, but he had one quality. And he said, what quality did he have? He was a great orator.
He was what?
A great speaker. So I'll just...
Most dictators are, right? Like,
Well,
you know, most mass murderers.
Well, what I recently also did is I wrote an article about what a dictator is, because people don't believe that's happening. And all I can say is thank you again.
Thank you.
And I can not only identify, but I had a good time teaching people in the course of...
Were you born in the DP camp or no?
No, both of
Okay.
my parents, my father was in Auschwitz for 3 years. One of his main jobs was to take the dead bodies and throw them in the ovens. My mother was in the Lodz Ghetto, or Łódź Ghetto, and they both came from very large families, and they were the only two survivors. So...
And they stayed in Poland after the Holocaust?
They both immigrated to Caserta, Italy, separately. And that's where my mother and father met, and that's where they got married, and that's where I was born.
Oh, so you're Italiano.
Italiano.
Oh, okay.
I still wear Italian hat.
Yeah.
What's that?
With a Polish name. He's a paisan with a Polish name.
When I could do this, when I was young, when I was first starting working, there was a lot of freedom of what you could do in an interview. So you could, I would say to the people interviewing me or person, you know, I'm a Polish Italian Jew, and I have Hispanic black parents. And you would wipe out a requirement for 5 different minorities by just having me. So anyway, I just wanted to let...
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for sharing that. You brought up something I would like to mention. Remember I said I taught Hebrew school for many years? So when I was teaching at Temple Judea, I was teaching the 7th graders Holocaust in Israel. And these brand new books came into the synagogue, and they were shiny and new and colorful hardback books. And our education director got a stack of them, boxes of them. And he handed one to me, and he said, look this over. If it's, you know, it looks pretty good. If it's good, we'll use it in the classroom. And it was all about, I took a look at it, and it was about Israelis and Palestinians, and let's all make peace, right? So I thought, oh, okay, this could be good. So I start going through it, and it references the Israelis as occupiers. And I handed it back to him, and I said, throw them out. We can't use these. So, but another teacher who maybe didn't have as much knowledge, or, you know, could have gotten by, another teacher who maybe didn't know what that meant, or, you know what I mean, wasn't as astute. Thank you. And so this is like the infiltration of our synagogues, and this is why we have our youth growing up, like Gen Z, protesting Israel, you know, protesting the IDF, even though the IDF is the most ethical, you know, military in the world, and just repeating lies. There was one time a couple years ago where there was a certain senator who voted against funding the Iron Dome. This was a while ago. And I think I put something on my Facebook about, like, you know, why would he do that? You know, like, the Iron Dome is essential to the, you know, survival of Israel. And the person who got on my Facebook and gave me the hardest time was a former Hebrew school student of mine. A former student. Now she's all grown up. She's in college. I said, where do you go to school? She went to Emory, home of Jimmy Carter, so that explained everything. She was adamant that Israel should have to pay for their own defense, and we shouldn't have to help them. And her statements are very anti-Israel. And I said, where is this coming from? Like, we didn't teach you that in Hebrew school. She was a sweet kid. You know, I knew her all the way up through her bat mitzvah in Hebrew school, where, you know, we teach, like, you know, our brotherhood with Israel, and you buy Israeli bonds and you plant a tree and you go visit if you can. And I couldn't imagine where this is coming from, but even our own Jewish kids are being indoctrinated. It's scary. I can repeat it if she doesn't want to get up. Harriet?
I've long wondered, after bar and bat mitzvah, a lot of them disappear. And I think that's where you lose them. Because those middle years, the hardest years, you couldn't pay me to work with 14 to 15, 16-year-olds because they are their own bosses.
Yeah.
And I think we lose a lot of Jewish students in those areas. Again, I had kids that went to Hebrew school. They had to go to confirmation. I didn't want to hear about it. I didn't want to, and we didn't live in an especially Jewish neighborhood by that point.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the one thing that I thought would help. Now, two of my kids did go to Graz for a while. That was nice. But 3 of my 4 children were involved in interfaith marriages. And I'm lucky that I have wonderful daughter-in-laws who are respectful. But I have 5 grandchildren who are not Jewish. So this is our world now.
Yep.
I'm sure I'm not the only Jewish parent.
You are not. My kids both got confirmed. My son went all the way, graduated from Gratz College, and they're both living very secular lives, both of them. My daughter is also married a non-Jew, and I tried to give them the best, most comprehensive Jewish upbringing I could. Hebrew school, bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah. They both went to Israel on birthright.
That's nice. Yeah. All right, and I have one story. I lived in State College for 19 years.
Just for the record, I love my son-in-law.
Oh, yeah, listen.
They're live streaming this.
You will not
I do love
get any
them.
complaints. My daughters-in-law and my son-in-law, as a matter of fact, my son-in-law never objected to the fact that his boys were bar mitzvahed, and his family came from Italy to witness, not all the whole, but when I lived there for a while, I had a professional job, and that dried up. So I just sort of took a job, because when you're younger, you want to do something, but not a lot.
Right.
And I worked in an insurance company where I was, of course, the only Jew who was there just doing front-end stuff. And the people were dear, but ignorant. I mean, they had one of them, and she was so great. She said, I just thought Jewish people celebrated Christmas at a different time. The most innocent statement. And I spent a lot of time, because when it was holiday, I brought in Hamantaschen, and did they ask about it? You bet. And did I tell them about it? So hopefully, at least that little bit of person-to-person contact in an area which is a university town. But in the middle of an area that is purely just farmers and people who are not acquainted with people who are Jewish.
Right.
When she said that to me, I went, oh,
Yeah.
I guess she's right. I am the only Jew here.
I mean, we are the minority. We're only 2% of the population. So we're, usually we are the only Jew in the room a lot of times. I remember when I worked at Shadow Traffic, it was me and one of our drivers. And so we were the Jew crew on Christmas, That was it. You would hear Rhonda Fink-Whitman on KY that whole day, KYW. Because the Jews were working on Christmas, and we didn't mind. You work on Yom Kippur, and I'll work on Christmas, But thank you for that. Yeah, but that's why I do what I do, because for me, Holocaust education is key. So, yeah.
We have to take some of our responsibility on this. How many Jewish families do you know in all these years that have had a Hanukkah bush? Because there was question, why did they have a tree and we have nothing?
Right.
And the parents folded and we had a Hanukkah bush.
Right. Not me either, but I know people I grew up with people who did. Yeah, I know. It's tough to be a Jew in America. All right, I think I'm going to call it now. I'm going to be in the back. I'm happy to talk to anybody else. Thank you. Thank you for having me. If anybody wants a book, 94 Maidens are $15. Daughters of the Holocaust is $10. That's a graphic novel. And Mrs. Graceland, I am doing a special promotion today only. It's usually $12.99, but if you want it, you can have it for $10 today too. And thank you everyone for having me. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you. If you want a bookmark, come see me.
do?
Irwin's got a meeting, so that means that I can come in the morning, stay for the NASA, and then I'm going to go to Rock Window or whatever, and then I'm just going to stay. And then drive over, so it works out really nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I'll be here all afternoon. Well, I get to play canasta in the afternoon. That's what I like. Yeah.
You get involved in teaching.
I know. I don't know. It's the back seat. I'm a crazy one. Oh, no. He said that.
You must be tired. Too much yakking.
Oh my God, of course. Oh, are you? Okay, I mean, I'm still John doing okay? She's still working with China. Right? Jonathan was your brother. Right. And I still talk to Stuart. And I mean, yes, exactly. I volunteer Thursday mornings with Abby. At my branch. Right. All right, are you coming tomorrow? No, I have swim from 11 to 12. No, you coming tomorrow night? Yeah, I'm going to swim in the morning. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. All right.
Usually my husband comes, and when you in the picture. And usually my husband Could you take one of those signed and the horse? Wait a minute. His name is Craig. Good to see you. Craig? Craig?
I'm sorry, yes. Absolutely. I I would be happy Let's go, Sarah, let's go. My pleasure. I'll wait till the next group comes up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.